I haven't given everybody an employment update, or should I say an unemployment update, in quite some time. I think I've deliberately avoided the issue because it gets scary. And many of you will know how that feels. It gets very scary. And then I start berating myself because I get on YouTube and, I put up the videos like the Elijah Principle. And I'm going to be honest with you, I started looking at living in your car videos again. And I'm going to be very honest and open. Yeah, I've gone to the Lord so many times, and it's the truth. I don't mind the idea of living in my car. I do not mind that. I think that it might actually be an adventure. Now, it's been so hot here in Texas that I've kind of wondered if I'd wind up with heat stroke, but I'm going to try not to cry here. What I mind is Jasper and Jade, because they're old and their vitamins have helped them enormously, but they're old, and because they're old, they're not in the best of health, and that was why I adopted them. I mean, you've got two black cats who've been living side by side and playing with each other for who knows how long in that shelter. They've been there a long time, and I looked at them, and they're old and they're black, and I worry about black cats during certain seasons. I really do. And I'm like, and people aren't going to take them because they're old, because they're going to have problems. And, that was why I took them, because I knew that they were the least likely to be adopted. And if I wound up living in my car, and many of you will be shocked to hear this, but I would want to have them put down because they're so bonded. I'm going to do a carousel of the pictures that I have of them, and it will be a little bit more clear how bonded they are. And I don't want to put them back in a shelter at their age, and they're bonded, and if they do by chance get adopted, they're not likely to be adopted together again. Now, the shelter didn't reassure me that they would do their best, that they do their best to keep bonded pairs together. They just can't always do it. And, they can't promise that if I get in a position to get them back, that, that they're going to be there together, or that they will be there at all, That's what I mind. Either way, I don't want to give them up. And I just think that if I had to give them up, that it would be more merciful to put them down. And I don't want to do that. So, anyway. And I got really down, which is one of the reasons why I didn't get back on YouTube, because I thought, if I can't encourage other people, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to bring them down with me. So a night came where I was feeling particularly desperate, and I was printing up a cover letter for a hard copy application. It's surprising to me how many businesses still want hard copy applications. And I'm running out of money, and these ink cartridges are expensive, and I had to leave the house at like 10 o'clock to run down and get ink cartridges. I had to run down to Walmart and get ink cartridges for the printer, and I was so angry because it cost a lot of money, and I didn't feel like I had it to spend, but I really wanted this job, and I'll explain that. And I was feeling pretty desperate when I got home. And suddenly, God just laid on my heart, don't you, and I'm not quoting God, I can't do that, but it was as if he was saying, don't you understand that that's what my enemies want? My enemies want you to despair. And when everything fell in on you in 2023, you kept saying over and over, it's all about curse God and die. So on the short ride home, I just started yelling at the top of my voice. I got hoarse. I strained my throat. And I started yelling, I will bless God. If I lose the apartment, I will bless God. If I lose the cats, I will bless God. If I lose the car, I will bless God. I will bless God no matter what. I will love him and I will bless him no matter what. And for some reason, it just washed over me that was what he wanted out of me. He wanted me to make the determination that no matter how many bad things he allowed, that I would loudly declare that I would love him and serve him anyway. And Job said that too. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. So I printed up the letter and I stapled it to the hard copy application, and I was completely wiped out and went to bed. And the next day, yesterday morning, was the day for the clinical lab testing, and this had been one of the reasons for my despair, because all of the lab practice that we had done in that class, I was terrible. I was the worst one in that entire class. I really was. And everybody was so incredulous, because I'm the only PCT in that class, and I'm the only one who's worked in that particular professional category, which is comparable to a CNA. The difference between a PCT and a CNA is that CNA is long-term, PCT is acute care, hospital care, PCT is hospital care. You have a much broader, more thorough education as a PCT than you do as a CNA. And here I am in CNA clinicals, and I am Robert Oppenheimer in the lab, right? Everybody said that the inventor of the atom bomb was all thumbs in the lab. People hated having him in the lab, because they said he was as clumsy as he could be. And so that's what I kept thinking. And I'm not being stuck up, people. But anyway, so I was really stressed out about the clinical state testing. And before I went to bed the night before, I realized that was what God wanted out of me. And I had a peace that I hadn't had in years. And I just dead sleep. And I got up the next morning, and I went to the Lord and I said, I don't think I'm going to pass. I'm the worst at this. I don't think I'm going to pass, and my friend's investment in me is going to go down the drain, and I'm going to disappoint them, and again, this peace just washed over me, and I quit worrying about it. I got ready for the day, and I went and I had prayed that I would be one of the first ones in there. No, I was the last. I had to wait 5 hours before I got into that testing lab. And thank God we had been warned that these proctors were particularly rigid. And it didn't even occur to me to pray for a relaxed character to be my proctor, but this woman was just fun. She was fun. She made it so fun, and I knew when I met her that God had put her there for me. Yes, I believe he put her there for me, because she was so relaxed that she made me relax completely. And so thank God, people, I passed, and I have my written exam tomorrow. And when I felt like I might have passed, but I did do a few things wrong, and I thought, with Prometrics, they're not going to pass me. And I had been told that the automated email with my results would come in 5 o'clock next morning, and I'm like, well, Lord, I just have to wait till 5 o'clock next morning. So I drove on into Tyler with this application that I've been struggling with the night before, and I got this text from my instructor, and she said, congratulations, you passed. You had 1 feedback, and I'm really proud of you. And that meant the world to me, and I felt like a 10-ton boulder had fallen from my neck. I truly did. God is so good. I really did not expect, even when the peace flooded over me, I still did not expect to pass. The peace was about being able to accept it and try again. That's what the peace was about. I did not expect to pass that test, and I'm so grateful to God that I did. Now, the application and my sponsors for my CNA class were 100% on board with this. Y'all are going to laugh. My application that I was so anxious about, that I wrote the cover letter for, was for a modular home company. The background to doing this is that I think that I've explained somewhere before that the husband and I spent about 15 years flipping homes. And we moved around an average of every 2 years. Realistically, sometimes it was 8 months. But we moved around an average of every 2 years flipping homes. I loved all of it. I loved all of it. I love to take something ugly and turn it into something beautiful. And I love to take something shoddy and turn it into something nice. I love to upcycle, if you will. I love that. And I had fallen in love with the concept of modular homes years ago. When I first moved to New Mexico, my aunt and her family actually lived in a modular home. One of the first modular homes, certainly the first I'd ever seen, but it was among the first in the late 70s when they started getting really, really, really nice. And of course they've been around forever. I mean, Ma and Pa Kettle lived in a modular home, right? So anyway, I fell in love with it. I really fell in love with them after we moved here. And there is a certain company in Tyler who is famous all over the country for their modular homes. And every time my family was in Tyler, I would literally and figuratively drag them onto that lot. And, I had to go by that lot and look at the homes. And so, I never handled, I only helped to handle the sales of a few of the properties we did. I did at one time hold a realtor's license in New Mexico, but at the time I was just not able to take, you have You have to know how to be rejected when you're a realtor and when you're a salesperson. And at that time in my life, I couldn't handle it. Things were too stressful at home. I had all the rejection I could take at home. I couldn't take rejection in my career, so I gave it up. But yeah, I want this. And my sponsors want it for me. The people who paid for my CNA class, they want that for me. So everybody out there, if you will pray that God will give me a chance at this modular home company, because I am terribly grateful to God for the CNA class. I am grateful to my sponsors for their kindness and their love toward me. And they know that the health care is something that I'm doing in order to keep things together. I'm not doing it because it's necessarily my passion. It has been my passion. It is no longer. I'm too old. I have too much pain, and it's getting time to move on. So if y'all will pray that God will allow me a chance at this modular home. And I looked into it. I did a little investigation, because I've learned the unwisdom of putting all my eggs in one basket. There are so many modular home companies in Tyler, and I intend, by the grace of God, to storm the Citadel. And I'm also going to look into Solitaire, which I know is not a modular home company, but to me, Solitaires are the cream of the crop with mobile homes. I love Solitaire homes, so I'm going to look into that as well. So if y'all will pray that God will give me guidance and direction and bless my efforts, because this is the kind of thing I'm really passionate about. I can get so carried away about living spaces. Also, God has been very good today in that I had earlier in the week, Monday, I think they scheduled Monday, a hospital in Nacogdoches had answered one of my applications, and my interview with them was scheduled for 1 o'clock this afternoon. And before the end of the interview, please pray that this woman was completely sincere when she told me, you'll be getting an email confirmation sometime tomorrow. I can't promise when. And I said, are you telling me that you think I probably got the job? And she said, yeah, I think you probably got the job. But don't plan on the email until late tomorrow, possibly the next morning, because it has to go through HR. I have to talk to them. And it's really cool, because there are actually 3 different locations in which they're talking about sending me in Nacogdoches, and one of them is rehab, and I love rehab. I love rehab. So this would be a great stabilization point to move on to the things that I really want to do, which are, if God gives me a traditional career, I would love to go to the modular home thing. I really would love to go to the modular home thing. But what I'm doing right now, as of this moment, that's what I want to do more than anything else. I think that everybody can tell I have passion for living spaces. I have passion for homes. I love modular homes. I believe I would be good at selling modular homes. What I'm doing right here is where I get really carried away, and I think all of you know that. So, either way, whatever I do as a traditional career, I want to support what I'm doing now. I want something to be the base upon which I build the foundation of content creation. Am I making sense? So God has been really, really good. I am very much encouraged. When I got back into Henderson, I got a text from an assisted living facility in my own community, and they just said, can you drop by? And I did, and Oh, wow, it was a nice facility, and I think I would really love to work there, even though the pay is quite low. But hey, it would pay the car insurance, right? That's what I'm looking at. And the problem was that they really wanted a med aide. And that's just, I mean, right now, I think probably I'm too stressed to even address that right now. And I told her, that is just not something I'm interested in taking on at this time. To me, handing out meds is a huge responsibility. And I think right now I'm a little bit too, I don't know if the word is anxious, but it's just not something I want to handle. And so, but she did say that she might be hiring me for a caregiver position at night. And so until I start with the hospital, or it would be PRN. So, and the hospital position is PRN. So if I worked both places at once, it would probably be perfectly okay. So there's an outside chance I might get the assisted living facility as well. God is very, very good. And I think at this point in time, He's making it very necessary for me to practice what I preach. I mean, I did that video on what I call the Elijah principle, and maybe I was previous in that because God is making me really live that right now. And that's okay, because that's how we get closer to Him. And I thank you all for your prayers. And I think you guys probably got a few glimpses of Jade and Jasper back there. I think I mentioned in the last video that there was a carousel of pictures. I'm going to try to figure out how to do that and put those up for you guys. They are such sweet pictures. So I'm going to let you all go. Thank you very much. Thank you for bearing with my unemployment update. Talk to you later.